man. So let's begin with the beginning. Network architect, senior network engineer. Uh, where did you start?
Well, thanks for having your show. Where did I start? Well, I started in the military, actually. I was in college. I wanted to do architect stuff, like industrial stuff, but then um, got to my junior year at Baylor, had a kid, decided to join the military was the best thing for me and my family. And I didn't really have that same skill set in college, so I got into something techie. I wanted to make sure that when I was done with my career in the military, that it would cross over into corporate America. So I picked IT. So I got into networking and the Army Signal Corps, and that really propelled my career because I got out and it worked out exactly how I thought it would. Crossed over to corporate America very well because people love people that come out of the service. So it was an honor to serve. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm in the United States, so it's a great country. It was an honor to serve. I wouldn't change a thing. So started there. That was over 25 years ago. Um, got into a lot of Cisco shops, as you call it. Got a lot of Cisco certifications, CCNA, CCNP. Started working for AT&T, Verizon for a short stint. All service provider stuff. So I have I like service provider stuff. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. And then I got into healthcare. Did that for a while. Got promoted to a network manager. And then I got approached by Dell Technologies, and I did the interview, and I was like, I'm not moving to Austin. I'm not going to work for Dell. And then I got the offer letter, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'll be there next week. So moved the family to Austin. Here we are. As you know, COVID hit, and it really changed a lot of things. So a lot of companies shut their doors. They changed their workforce footprint, how they do business. A lot of people start working remotely. Campuses shut down. Locations all over, global. It affected everybody. So massive layoffs. Survived a few layoffs, but then, got laid off as well. So I didn't, I started contracting, and I started really kind of tapping into um, what makes me different and what I'm passionate about. It's it it's virtual networking. It's these labs. It's EVNG Pro. It's kind of it's what I do now for a living, day in and day out. So I do Eve Pro Labs for my clients, and as you know, I'll post them on LinkedIn, and that's how I'm talking to you. Got your attention, and I'm looking forward to seeing your topology that you promised. I think you're gonna use Peanut Lab, but yeah, I'm gonna hold you to that one because you said you were gonna build something and you felt inspired. So
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna hold you
definitely.
to that.
Definitely, I'm still working on that. So okay, so let's unpack a little bit here because
Yeah, it's a lot.
professionally, a lot of things happen. So first one I want to touch on is you did some professional certifications, Cisco certifications. What was the reason behind those? Why did you decide to take those certifications?
Well, back then, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, if you got into Cisco was the standard. You got a Cisco cert, it was your meal ticket. So here I am, a young guy, got kids, wife, responsibilities. It's like, hey, I could do study for a year and a half. That's what you're saying? And then I can get a cert, and I can make how much money for my family? Okay, instead of going to college for 4 years or whatever or more, it just made more sense to just knock out some certs. So the CCNA back then changed my life. I went, it was crazy. It was like I went from 20 something thousand a year after the military because you don't make a lot of money as a soldier, but then when I got to CCNA and my first job at AT&T as a contractor, it was a game changer. Now, don't laugh, but it was like $75,000. But for me, that changed my life. It changed my family's life. So, and after that, I was like, oh, I'm hooked. Let's do the next one. So let's get this CCNP. Let's do the data center stuff. Let's do the service provider stuff. And long story short, I continued to, excel in advance and, have a lot of dreams come true, buying your home, first home, uh, doing things for your kids. I don't know. But that's the reason why I got into it. It really wasn't like a personal thing. I saw an avenue that I needed to take from my family, and I was willing to do that. Um,
So studying, and especially because I wanna touch on this because most of people don't understand the benefit and the value of professional certifications. Most of families still think like finish your high school and then probably go to college, and that's the traditional path. And you notice like, no, there is a different path and a better one, right? So is this something that you still think is valuable today, in comparison to what you chose like 20-ish years ago? Do you still believe that, okay, professional certifications or technical certifications, they might have a different value, if not better, in comparison to academic, let's say, training or traditional way of studying?
yeah, absolutely. I know a little bit about your story, so I mean, we have come from a similar background. It's like, you 4 or 5. Do I want 4 or 5 years for some degree, or do I put in a little bit of time, year or two, and get a technical certification that I could use not just here in America or Portugal. It's something recognized globally. Uh, it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, absolutely. I I would. Everybody's on their own journey. If they want to go to college, they want to do that. There's a lot of respect, and if that's someone chasing their dreams, I mean, I'm all for it. I'm not. I would never want to derail somebody from anything. From where I was in my life at that moment, I didn't have the resources or the time to invest 4 years into a college. I mean, I already had junior credits, but my brother had gone to a technical college and it paid off immediately. He went from just like 2 years, and like he had a job before he even graduated, and he was making over $100,000. It was just like he got into coding. He really pressed it. He also had kids, but he excelled so fast. And I get out of the military and I see what he's done by getting technical, and I was like, I'm doing the same thing. I'm not going to go to college. I'm not going to finish it. I could, but it's like I want to get technical, and I'm going to stay technical because look at it, it works, it pays, so it makes sense. If someone wants to go to college, great. But you and I both know that you get that technical cert, make yourself valuable in the market. That's all you need. So go ahead.
Yeah. And the other thing is, and we see this a lot, is people are chasing the technical certs without the knowledge. And looking at your story, like professional career, you didn't grow up just by getting certs. You were delivering. Your results were speaking for yourself. How were you growing? Like, I would say, like implementation, designing. How were you gaining those skills? Because we know that certs don't teach you all of that. So one thing
Yeah.
is to get on your work, like if you have that, but were you using like a different approach, something different that the others were using, like a different strategy?
Yeah. So I think there's two questions there. The first one is, then the military is like, what you did was it meant something, right? If the troops can't talk, you're putting your company, you're putting your troops, your people could be in danger. So we were very serious in the Signal Corps, Army Signal Corps. So what we did was absolutely critical. So there was like people needed us so they could talk to do the mission. There was a little bit of like fulfillment in that, knowing that you have that kind of stress on your shoulders. I think that's why I excelled so well when I got out of the service and got into healthcare, was seeing that your skill set and what you're doing, being able to see the big picture, that you were absolutely helping patients. You're helping, their care was increased. I mean, there was doctors that couldn't even read like the MRI, or they were trying to get results. They're trying to save someone's life. And when I came into that scenario, I mean, it was a bad scenario. So I set up a whole new designs. I really drove it because I knew that this is so important. And I think that's one of the big things that, unfortunately, I see a lot of engineers, they don't have that clear picture that what they're doing is important. They're like that sense of fulfillment, or maybe the companies they work for, they don't have that clear company mission, right? Or they're not in like a cohesion, like they're that environment. Maybe it's talk. I don't know, but so that's the first thing. That kind of kick started my passion for, to answer your question. I think there was two questions basically. Is when I started seeing how important what I was doing and my technical skill set, how it was affecting people's around me, and it was in bettering people's lives, giving me that sense of fulfillment that, hey, I matter, what I'm doing matters, this is very important. It started installing this passion, and I still have it. It just continues to grow. But that passion is led me to your second question about the whole, how did I get better? The answer now is obviously is virtualization, the different options you have, the CML, the PNet Labs, the EVNG, the GNS3s. I think that's the top four. I'm not going to mention Packet Tracer. We're going to drop that one off the list.
Someone just on that
But
one, someone corrected me, said Packet Tracer is not a network simulator. Is, I don't know, network emulator or something, but it's in a different category.
I laugh about it now, but I actually started on Packet Tracer, and I thought it was great because you got to see the visuals, and you could replicate some things you can't really do. It's great for getting out the gate. I'm not trying to knock it, just makes me smile. But yeah, so that passion has turned into virtualization now. A lot has changed. There's so much between in 25 years how things used to be, and now, um, where you had to have physical hardware back then for your CCI exams, to where now you can do the whole thing, virtually. So much has changed, but that passion's there. It's never going to leave. But it started in the military. Being in healthcare was a huge blessing, knowing that what you do matters. And I hope that the people in your audience have that kind of position, or feel that from their work. It's huge. It's huge. It's a big deal having that fulfillment.
You talk about virtualization, and we're going to dive deeper because that's your word now. But what are the tools that you were using before, and which one are you using now?
But the platforms.
Yeah.
So
Packet Tracer was one of them.
Originally, yeah, it was great. But I was a power user in GNS for a long time. I posted some stuff on LinkedIn, but I have so many topologies on that. You look at it now and you want to laugh because you're like, this is it? But you got to understand, 10 years, 15 years ago, whatever, it was cutting edge technology. There was no Peanut Lab or Eve Pro or anything like this. Like it was GNS3, and it was taking off like a rocket ship. So much that people were using GNS3 and a breakout switch and real switches to study for their CCIE routing switching. That's what I was doing. So yeah, my whole thing started with GNS. It was just mind blowing to bridge virtual routers out to real hardware, real switches. It really got everything going for me. Just like, this is crazy. But the whole virtual, that's where it took off for me, and that kind of enthusiasm and passion for that environment went right into my career as an architect. So standing up these virtual environments for customers and people that I was working for and showing the benefits, why you need to have these virtual sandboxes for your change management, for your little quick proof of concepts to see if two vendors can actually communicate correctly. Lots of different, there's a whole bunch of reasons. And there's a lot of the sales teams too, like a lot of these pre-sales teams, they have to prove that this package of this and this router, this firewall, this switch, that it works. Like they're required to test this out. And so a lot of it's done virtually now or hybrids, virtual and real. But so, yeah, so it's just been like, over the last 10 years, it's really just kind of taken off for me. And I see the value of it, and I really see how exciting. I think it's just continue to grow. I think the community is going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to be pretty exciting. And there are some new features coming out on Eve Pro. It is going to be an absolute game changer. Absolutely change the whole field. I forgot to tell you about that, didn't I?
Yeah. We're probably going to share a little
Yeah.
bit of it.
Yeah.
So you stopped. No, you stopped. You went from Packet Tracer, GNS3G,
Pro. Yeah.
even G Pro. Okay. So why change from GNS3 to even G Pro? What's the main difference?
So that's a good question. So when I started getting into Nexus, I started getting into data center. I started getting into large scale topologies. The GNS3 VM that you're running on like a nested approach on your workstation, right? There's a limitation. Just like and then you can try to do the GNS VM on ESXi, but there's also a limitation. It's like 128 gigs. So I was expanding and started getting larger and larger topologies. I actually ran into a situation where I ran out of RAM. Like the VM was maxed out. So I started looking at, everyone's talking about Eve Pro. I downloaded the Eve community first. I was like, this is weird. I gotta be honest. Like it was like the whole like getting the image in and the templates, and I was like, okay, but I know this is what I need to do because my goal is I need large scale topologies. I need this kind of environment because I couldn't be limited on CPU or RAM. I needed the resources. So at that point, I looked at the Eve Pro. The Eve Pro gives you the ability to cluster. So there's no restrictions here. So that's this over here. That's a master and then two satellites behind it. So you have you can build crazy topologies. It's been just a game changer for me. There's no resource limitation, the performance on bare metal, a lot of the bugs I was seeing with the Nexus on nested deployments, or I couldn't even run Juniper. Like that stuff wouldn't even run. As soon as I moved to bare metal, everything runs like a dream. Just some examples, but it really came down to the performance. What gives me the environment where I can build anything, right? And I can have the kind of resources that I'm looking for. So that's why I picked Eve Pro. Thank God I did. And they continue to improve, and they've got some really cool things coming out. I think it's really, really going to set the bar so high that a lot of these. Look, I think Cisco CML is a great product. I do. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's really cool. They got a lot of things integrated, but it really is. It feels like it's tailored for a Cisco shop, like a Cisco. So that's why Eve Pro and Peanut Lab, GNS3 as well. Like it gives you more of like an open. You have the ability to have multiple vendors, and that's really what you want to have. You always want to position yourself to where you have the freedom to deploy whatever you want, because you never know the situation you're going to be in where you need to have that available to you. So anything that limits you or makes your options less, I don't think it's a good decision in our field. You know what I mean? So that's my take on that.
So you highlight bring a point here is that your background is mainly Cisco, if we can put it that way. But you're saying like professionals, network engineers, or IT architects, or whatever, they shouldn't focus only solely on a single vendor. Why not?
Yeah,
What
it's a
are the
great question.
advantages and disadvantages on, okay, I use this vendor, this product, but I should use also or learn how to use this other product from this other vendor?
Well, that's a loaded question. I know you have your own work experience, and we've talked about this before, but it's what there's companies that have the budget to be all Cisco, and I think I work for these companies. Like everything was Cisco, wireless was Cisco, the router, switches, data center, everything was Cisco. They that whole ecosystem is expensive. So when you start getting outside of those, like to the smaller to mid-sized companies, they don't have those kind of budgets. So you're going to see more like the FortiGates. You're going to see, other maybe Arista or something. You're going to see other platforms because they have the technologies, they have what they're looking for, certain features. It's because they come at a lower cost than Cisco. Cisco tax is expensive. The contracts are expensive, and I promise you, I'm not trying to knock Cisco in any way on this little podcast thing, but it is expensive. It is. And that is why people leave Cisco and they go to something else. They're trying to look to cut costs, simplify things. A lot of the controllers now that Cisco have are in the cloud. It's very expensive. DNAC, all these things. These are expensive appliances. So people are looking for alternatives. And a lot of people on the campus side, the enterprise side, if you look at the trend right now, Cisco has kind of moved down. Like a lot of people are looking at Juniper as the leader. I'll give you another example. It's like, say you're in a warehouse. We're talking about wireless. The best wireless APs. Do you think they're Cisco
This is not my
or
favorite
Racket?
technology,
Yeah.
but I heard that it's Meraki. I would say Meraki probably.
No, it's neither. It's called Ruckus. They have incredible beacons, antennas. They have a technology that Cisco doesn't. What I'm trying to say is there are certain scenarios and certain platforms and certain industries where the Cisco may not be the best option. I think that's why, and it's like you're gonna see this. You're gonna see this in your career at some point or another where you're gonna see a hodgepodge, and you're like, why do they do this? And then you're going to get into the details and like, okay, now I know why they did this. They went with these Ruckus because they have the best antennas. They went with this because it's easier to manage. You're going to see situations where being a single vendor, like a Cisco shop, may not be the best option for your company or maybe too expensive. But so I think as engineers, support engineers, whatever we're trying to do in our careers, I don't think it's a good idea to be just a single vendor. And you see it. You see on these jobs and what they're looking for. Everyone wants the stars and the moon. They want to see those Cisco certs. I mean, everybody knows those are great. It gives you an opportunity to talk to them, to have a conversation. But they also want to see: do you got VMware? Do you have firewall experience? Do you have this? Do you have that? You got Linux, Kubernetes, Dockers, like that. The list starts going on and on and on. It's not just having that one certification. They want to see that you have experience and knowledge on a lot of things. So I think we're just in that this time and era right now where it's you gotta have the cert, but you gotta have a lot more knowledge outside of just, in this example, Cisco. Like it's good to be well versed in a lot of things, in my opinion, because that's what you're going to run into. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we were talking about this before, but yeah, that's based on your experience. Yeah, you can start with one vendor, but you kind of want to make your future bulletproof by understanding how to interact with other vendors besides only Cisco. Okay. And I
Correct.
believe, based on your experience, that one can get hands on these other vendors' products and technologies by using virtualization. Then GNS3, EVNG, and these other things. So before we jump into EVNG, you mentioned that companies they should start using virtualization to test things, to like change management. Can you explain a little bit more of that? Because I don't see these often across companies, a virtual environment or a lab environment. Why do you think this is important? Why do you think companies should have it?
Well, I think you're seeing a trend lately where this commodity or nice to have, like I work for companies where they necessarily, one company might have a lab environment, whether they purchase their own stuff or they have some servers they bought for virtualization for what we're talking about here. But it used to be like it's nice to have if we got extra money, we'll build a lab or we'll invest in one for our engineers. I don't see that now. I'm seeing everybody has kind of got to a point where they understand that a sandbox is absolutely necessary. Look at coders, right? You always hear about prod and dev. That is just a standard in their world. It's really a standard in our world too, because how do you know how you're going to make a big change in an enterprise network and there's not going to be a hiccup. There's all these little processes in between to be successful, and the devil's in the details. You will live and die in change management. If you could have 10 easy changes, but then you have that one where someone needed to go the extra mile and figure out and make sure and verify and validate that these changes are going to be successful. It's going to be very smooth. We're not going to impact our network or our business. And sometimes they used to skip this. I think you have an example of this one time you tell me about, but they don't see the importance, and then they have a massive outage, and it causes a ripple domino effect. I've seen people lose their jobs over a massive outage because they were not prepared. And it was like, it's very important. So I think we're gonna see a major change. And to me, it's like a no-brainer. You think about coders. They have a dev and a prod. They test things, they create things, and then they test it out, and then they put it in production. There really should be no difference with what we do for network engineers, architects, especially when it comes to changes, or testing out. Hey, we've got this vendor coming in trying to give us a proposal to leave this and bring their product in. They will sell you so much stuff. Well, this sounds great. No, man, test it out. Test everything out. And that's it. It's taken off. Like, I really think your audience, us, in the next couple of years, and I'm a little biased because I work with Eve Pro every day. I do this for a living every day. But I bet you're going to start seeing this stuff on job descriptions. Tell me about your virtualization experience, your sandbox. Do you like Peanut Lab, Genus 3? You like Eve Pro? Like, I really feel like we're at that point where it's not a commodity or nice to have. It's gonna be a requirement.
Don't think
And
that's coming?
I do. I really think you're gonna start seeing that stuff on job descriptions. Depending, if it's a Cisco shop or
Well, that
but
would be great though, right?
But there's a lot of contracts. I work a lot of contracts. So people, if you want to be successful, you got to know, it's all about having the knowledge, the little gotchas, the processes. If you go from, say, Cisco Fabric to Juniper, what does that look like? How do we get there in between? That's where battles are won or lost, is the in between. And that's why you need the virtual environment. But anyway, those projects where you're either tech refresh or changing out vendors or bringing up maybe it's an acquisition or whatever, the virtual environment is huge. It's critical. So it's going to become more and more critical. And I promise you, we will start seeing, 5 years experience required, either Peanut, Genus 3, Eve Pro. Be prepared to show your work. I'm serious. I think we're going to get to that point because it's a game changer. Somebody that has put time into labs, and you have a lot of labs. You have a lot of videos. They're great videos and they're very helpful. So all that stuff takes time, but it's valuable information. It's valuable and people respect that. I just think it's very important. I wouldn't be surprised if in all these documentation, like say Arista, Juniper, Cisco, we will get to a point where they're trying to detail a certain technology or feature on a platform on some code level, and they're doing this diagram and all this stuff, and at the bottom it's like, download the Eve UNI file, so you can pull it, stand it up in your own virtual sandbox, see exactly what they're talking about, and validate yourself. I mean, that's what I'd be doing. Instead of, I think it's great. I think we're going to see a lot of things. And I think this new feature that Eve Pro is about to release is going to absolutely change the entire industry. It's already, in my opinion, the best just because of the graphical interface. But this new feature, seeing live traffic in front of you, you make a traffic filter and then you get to see this thing, whether it's layer 2, layer 3, you can see it go end to end across your topology and have thousands of these things. And you're going to see all this crazy. It's going to be awesome, man. I'm telling you, it's going to be game changing.
What packet traces shows, right? The packets traveling from one point to another, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's totally customizable and you can click it on and off different layers. They're posting some stuff already. It's in development. It's on LinkedIn. The CTO, he's very excited. I talk to him on a weekly basis. So it's going to be really good because you get it's that next level where visually, because I think at the end of the day we're visual creatures. We got to see something. We can either see it to believe it or see it to see the value it brings. But taking Eve to a next level where you get to see end to end traffic right in front of you, like a dashboard on a monitor for an executive level to see real time stuff. But just an example, like I think it's a big win for the community. I really do. It's going to be awesome to see that. Especially in my world, the topologies, you see my topologies where they're multi-vendor, they're massive. To turn on a filter and get to see the traffic go from one site through a data center all the way through and all this stuff. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, hope we can see this soon. You plan to launch this year?
That update? I don't know. It's soon, but
still working on it.
Yeah, I think it's one of those questions. He has his agent. He's a very sharp guy, the CTO. He's got it already built. It's now about the polishing, the presentation, right? So I think they're probably leaning towards the side of let's polish this, just make this look as good as it possibly can, and then we release it. But the functionality's there. I think they already have this. It's already done. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's about the presentation now. It's about how do we get this thing to look as pretty and as cool as possible when we deploy it. So I'm super excited. They're great. Their product's good, easy to talk to. Their live help desk is amazing. And I'm not trying to. I know your audience is probably CML or Peanut Lab or GNS3. It's all good, man. I've used all of them. That's what I use now for my business, though. So you'd ask me the reasons why, and I just think it gives you the ultimate freedom. It gives you the ultimate sandbox, in my opinion. No limitations, especially with the hardware. That's a big deal. And the graphical interface, I just think it's the best. Sorry, I just do.
Okay, so it looks like you tried other options besides EVG Pro Edition. In comparison, GNS3, that limitation you already explained. Mm-hmm. But in comparison to Community Edition, Cisco CML, and Peanut Lab, what are your opinions about that? Like, why did you decided to focus only on EVG Pro Edition instead of Community Edition, Cisco CML, and Peanut Lab?
Well, right out of the gate, I've heard you talk about it before on a video you did like 2 years ago, but right out of the gate, when you have to turn off a node and then that's how you have to connect, make a new connection is turn the node off and then both nodes have to be, what a pain. I mean, no thanks. So if you have a design already in mind, you just cable everything up and that's how it's going to be. And then you start turning things, and that's fine, whatever. That works. It's free. It doesn't, but
that's EVG community, by the way, if people don't get it.
Yeah. But in the real world, try doing that with the Cisco XRV 9000, where it takes, half hour, an hour for it to boot up, settle, like not just boot up, but settle down to where the CPU resources or Nexus. Well, Nexus doesn't take too long, but the point is there are some appliances that take a while to start. Checkpoints take a while, some of them. Even on bare metal. Yeah. A lot of there's so many appliances that take a while, even on bare metal. The idea that you have to turn that off every time just to make a simple connection, no, that ain't gonna work. So you don't have that issue So let's talk about the free versions. The free versions, with just that major obstacle in mind, you really only have two options. You got Genus or you got Peanut Labs, because neither one of those have those limitations on the free version. So that's really, yeah. And if that's the decision, I would probably lean on your favorite Peanut Lab. I would probably lean on that if that was the option, just because I've seen the community and how everybody's sharing
Mm-hmm.
after you showed me, and I think that's pretty special. That's pretty cool that they have a community like that. Maybe Eve, if they're gonna watch this, maybe that's something
Something to add on the
we
pro
could
version.
do in the on the Eve community side of things, is also have that community. I think that's really really good. Um, that's pretty cool. So yeah, so I mean that right out of the gate, that is a huge obstacle. There's a lot more advanced features and benefits for choosing the Eve Pro version over the community.
So why
Actually,
wouldn't you choose the Peanut version before you jump into pro?
I two things. Um, one is uh, the things I've heard about the security or lack thereof, or it's hackable, or something about the security. I don't know all the information. I don't. Maybe I think we talked briefly, but maybe you know more. But there is a known fact that Peanut Lab, there's some security concerns. The number two, visual guy. So I'm a design guy. I create my own icons. I create my own templates. I create my. I'm a visual guy. Whatever platform gives me the best visual experience, right? Graphical interface. That's what I'm going to choose or lean on. It just, I mean, in my opinion, I think the Eve Pro graphical interface, the text editor, the flexibility you have to bring in images, all this stuff. I just think it's really good. Because I've seen my work and I've seen. I hate saying this because I know this. I know you love Peanut Lab.
It's not that I love; it's that I use it instead
I know
of
you.
paying for the pro
I hate.
version.
It's like I feel like this might turn into like a competition between Peanut Lab and Eve, and I don't want to disrespect you in any way or anything.
I don't use the pro version, so
I just think that there's definitely a difference as far as the presentation, and I think the Eve Pro just gives you that next level presentation, and I think it's really important because having a work portfolio, your lab work, and being able to share it, talk about it, talk to a client, maybe potential. You're in an interview or whatever, you have something like you've spent some time on some lab work you've created. It looks good, but it operates good. It's got the features, it's got the technologies, it's got all the bells and whistles, and it looks good. And you get to present this, and people are like, "Man, who did this?" They're like, he did. It's like, wow, it goes a long way. I'm telling you. As soon as I showcase some of my work to clients, it's over. It's over. They are blown away because once I start getting into the consoles and I start doing the traffic flows and I show them what's really going on behind the scenes, it's not just a pretty diagram. Like, there's layers of technology. We're trying to get this as real world as possible under the hood. It's anyway. Your labs to me go right into like a work portfolio, and I think we're also going to see a trend. And I actually recommend your audience to start having some of these labs that you've created. Spend some time on them. Make them look nice. Touch on all the technologies. Maybe you're prepping for an Arista job or a Juniper, whatever. Get in there, study it, design it, make it look good. Get some nice icons, nice text, whatever. Put forth the effort, and then I promise you, when you get on those interview calls and you're trying to showcase and say, "Hey man, I got something I was working on in preparation and talking with you. Do you mind if I share with you?" And then you show that kind of level of dedication. Like you took the time to do that. I promise you, man, it's a game changer. It's game over because I've hired people. I've had people work for me, and those are the people I want working for me. that go the extra mile. They're gonna stand something up. They're gonna test it. They can prove it. They're excited. They want to share it. Those are the rock stars. Those are the people I'm gonna hire. So anyway, I got off a little
Yeah,
derailed there,
we
but
are by now. I believe everyone just understood now that okay, he loves Even G Pro Edition. Like he could talk about Even G
yeah,
forever. But I want to touch on this point that you mentioned that candidates can use those labs to show their skills. This is based on your experience. This is something valuable to add, like in the resume. I like to like I did this. I don't have this certification, but I know how to do it. Let me show you. That would work like this.
yeah. So I remember hiring people in healthcare, and I remember being on panels where candidates were coming into a major company, and they wanted somebody technical to ask some technical questions, and people would come in with this cert or that cert, and then you ask them some questions. Maybe some questions were real world, something you would by if you're doing labs or if you have real world experience, you should know the answers pretty easy. Not tough questions. I'm not trying to be that guy. But what I'm trying to say is like there's a lot of scenarios where having that knowledge in an interview or on the job place, like having done labs or that kind of thing, it gives you knowledge, man. Knowledge is power. Power is money. This guy told me this a long time ago. He's like, your goal is not the certification. Your goal is the knowledge. You search for knowledge with your passion, and everything. You don't worry about anything else. Everything else falls into place. Like it's not the cert. The cert doesn't. It gives you the opportunity to interview, but in the interview, in a real interview and on the real job place, you're going to be facing real life scenarios where you need to have real life knowledge. So I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I'm just saying like it does.
It's
I'm not really,
valuable.
yeah, I want like you want the person you work with or you want the person you're hiring to have the answer to your technical questions. Like if you paired me up with like 10 CCIEs and you start asking just certain kind of questions. And I'm like, I know that answer. I just happen to know because I've done a whole bunch of labs. You know, it's just doing the labs. It's just doing and having that working knowledge. It's important. You got to find out quick. So I see that all the time when people have a certification, but you ask them basic information or a basic question and they stumble. It's like, so the goal, just make sure you have the knowledge as well as the cert. Have the cert, but have the knowledge.
I have the knowledge, and you get the
Yeah.
knowledge by building the labs. So those labs, and especially if you're using even G Pro Edition, that would be better. But right now, you're saying that this is what you've been working, so which means that your company it focus on delivering these virtual environments for other companies, like to to build different scenarios, and also like if they want to replicate something that they have in the production environment before
Hmm.
change. So this is something like you see right now is not a trend, but it's something that companies are really using. It's in demand, in high demand. This is something like, okay, I'm listening to Brandon doing this, and probably I should do it as well. Try to pitch a company on delivering this kind of service.
Well, so for me, I'm building these complex, large scale enterprise kind of these labs, multi vendor labs. My customers, they have a business need, a business case where their agent, their software needs to be able to go through, like, say, a Juniper, Arista, Palo Alto, whatever, to validate some of their own internal business agent stuff that they're doing. So I really don't want to like give the names of my clients, but
No,
it's
you can
really,
use it.
really they just need real world. They need large scale enterprise level. So from service provider to WAN routers to cores to end devices and the traffic all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
They need to see all that for their own business needs. So I'm in kind of a niche right now. So I love what I do. I love to build. It's a lot of fun. Then that accomplishes what they're trying to do. to back up to answer your question about if someone's watching this, or should we invest in one of these virtual platforms for our business? Are you kidding me? This is a no-brainer. And the reason this change management is like, I have seen change management. If there's just one reason and one reason alone, change management. If there's an IT director in an enterprise company who doesn't see the value of having a sandbox for his engineers to understand a technology or a platform, or how do we get from A to Z, he's in the wrong position. They need to get somebody else in his place ASAP, because that's the world we live in. You have to test, validate, you have to understand, you got to have that knowledge. So that's these virtual sandboxes are, again, they're not a commodity, they're a necessity, they're a requirement to be successful for any organization, whether you're a small company or a large company. You have to do it. So I don't think it, and I think the audience probably agrees with me. So I think it's really about, how do you make sure that the organization you work for understands this? Are they investing in the company? They have servers that are available for their engineers to use? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I've had both. I told you one of those stories before, but I think the best option is, I actually made a list over here of 3 things that I would want to tell your audience. And
Bring it up.
all right, let's do it. And it just kind of segues right into what we're talking about. Is number 1 is invest in yourself, invest in your home lab. This is all still number 1. Build your own server. So these companies that have the kind of a lab environment for their teams to use, that's great. But what if you leave the company? Or what if the company goes, they shut their doors? Like, it's good to have your own equipment, right? You own it, you're in control. There's no limitations. You're not fighting over time. You just build. So that's what I'm saying. Invest in yourself, invest in your own home lab. So you can either build your own server, like all my servers I've built on my own, but I'm a techie guy. I love PC parts. I love server parts. I'm just extremely strange like that. But, or you can buy a used server, right? I would not recommend renting something in the cloud. It's too expensive. So it's build your own server, buy a secondhand one, pre-built. But I think it's important that all of us as engineers, architects, we continue to invest in ourselves. And the more resources you have right now in this virtual world that we're living in, the more resources, the better. So that's number 1. Number 2, it's 3 words: labs, labs, labs. If you want to excel, get better, whatever you're doing, you're chasing enterprise infrastructure, you're chasing whatever you're chasing, whatever your goal is. What does it come down to? It comes down to labs, labs, labs. You gotta have the environment. And for me, doing the labs, having that, reading it, doing it, or what, I would read the book, Cisco Press. I would watch a video, and then I would try to pull it off in a lab. Sometimes it would click, sometimes it wouldn't. But when I started doing labs consistently, and it was part of my routine, and doing them a lot, it just sticks. It just sticks with you. So that's my recommendation: is really focus on the labs as much as you can. The amount of time you spend in your labs, you're going to get rewarded tenfold in your career. I promise you that, because you're chasing knowledge, and people are going to pay you top dollar for that knowledge. And number 3 is, and I talked about it before, when you go into an interview, start. And I'm obviously all about labs. I'm all about EV&G Pro, making things look good and all that. But I'm telling you, what I want to share with you is that these customers, these clients, they love to see this. They love seeing this work. They love when I say, "Hey, can I showcase this for you? Would you like to see a demo of what, maybe the topic's on Arista? Like, hey, I got an Arista data center set up. You want to see this?" And then you just drive on the command line, and they get to see, okay, this guy knows his stuff. It's over, right? Maybe it's SD-WAN or Nexus or whatever, have some labs you've done. But for me, it's like, resumes are good. But from my experience so far, every time that I showcase one of my labs to a client for a contract, or whatever the case is, it's a slam dunk for me. I just feel like it's the answer in my world. If someone wants to pursue or try to, be the next B2B or whatever, it's labs. It's just like, it's all about the lab work. It's about that knowledge, and and then and then creating that portfolio. You got to sell yourself. You go to a job interview, answer some questions, do some technical stuff, and then you kind of give them an idea of, like, this is the kind of engineer I am. Here's some lab work, Microsoft Visio Pro diagrams. Here's what to expect from me. Kind of help paint the picture of who you really are. And for me, it's about, I'm a see and believe it kind of guy. Like, if I see your work, which, like, I loved your Palo Alto series. It helped me tremendously. Like, seeing it, right? You see your work, you see how you deliver, concise, confident, to the point, and you explain it perfectly. And it's like that. You see it. So I know what kind of engineer you are, and I immediately respect you. Right? It's the same thing with your work, and if I see your work come in, I'm looking at it, your portfolio, I'm going to be able to size you up. I hate to use the word size you up, but I'm able to determine what kind of work ethic you have, where your skill set is. But these are the things that people want to see, because people hire and fire so fast right now. I like to just pitch and show off some work so they understand where I'm at, what they're getting. So it's kind of different. You never heard of people say, hey, you have a work portfolio with your resume. But I'm telling you now, I would highly recommend it because it's worked for me. And as somebody who will probably be hiring people in the near future, I'm going to be looking for this. I want someone to show up on an interview and be like, hey man, I got this topology. I want to, all excited. Like, I want you to see this. Okay, let's go. Because then you can have a real conversation. You can get into the weeds and have an actual, real technical conversation, go back and forth, and get to really see where someone's at. And I think that's what people are looking for right now. I really do. That's what I'm looking for. So that's my recommendation. Those three things: invest in yourself. Don't go cheap. Lab, and work on your portfolio. And not just have the resume, but have that portfolio. Show yourself off. Show people what you can do.
You mentioned about building a lab, and cloud is an expensive option. So whether you're trying to deliver the pitch to a client or someone who wants to build his own lab, like the one you have, how much we're talking in terms of investment? Like, give me an estimate of how much I should start with to have my own lab. And I believe there are different price ranges for a company versus
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah. I can actually give you. I actually had detailed when I was building these out. I was speccing it. I was using AliExpress. I was using eBay. I was using Amazon. A lot of things you can get secondhand, and it's fine, man. It's fine. It's cheap. I think I was spending less than 2,000 on my servers. So they, what are they? 88 CPU. It's two dual E5 2694 V4s, so they're 22 cores a piece. So that's 44 plus another 44, 88, and then 250 gigs of RAM. So that's what I spent. I don't know if you know this, but right now there's currently this weird RAM epidemic going on, the price gouging. So yeah. So right now RAM is through the roof. Even like secondhand. And that's where I bought mine. I bought a whole bunch of my RAM off eBay. But the same RAM that I put in my server cost me $35 per stick is now costing $85 to $100 per stick or more. It's unfortunately this question being asked to me right now with the current prices, this monopoly gouging that's going on. Very unfortunate. But I guess if we can wait till the prices go down, and then if you're tech savvy and if you've built a PC before, you can build a server. It's the same components, it's the same process. I would highly recommend just build your own. That's just me personally. And see, this is quiet. Like you buy those big, long, like say a Dell server, 1U, 2U. They got those whiny fans, and they're so loud, man. So I didn't want that. So I
So
just built
which one are those?
these. Yeah, they're these three right here, but they're just some Silverstone cases.
Mm.
They got extended motherboards in them. They're all decked out as much as, the RAM, all Noctua fans, pretty quiet Seasonic power supplies. I posted a lot of pictures on my LinkedIn. A lot of people have asking how to get into the server specs. I've posted that. I
I can
can,
share in the video description later on because that's people
yeah,
probably
just,
going to reach out to you like, I
yeah,
want to know more about these,
yeah,
how to build
that's
it.
the number one, that's probably the number one question in the comments on LinkedIn is what's your server specs, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah. But yeah, I think as soon as I invested in myself,
2000.
I was like, man, this is the ticket. This is the ticket. So always invest in yourself. Don't let anybody hold you back. You're worth it. Your dream is worth it. And whatever you spend on yourself and your home lab and your pursuit for your dream, you will get back tenfold. Am I lying? I mean, that's how it goes. You invested your time and money into CCIE. And then what happened? You got the money back, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's an
Well,
investment. It's an investment.
yeah, but definitely it's an investment and it's worth doing. I don't have a server, but I bought a workstation because I don't know if you probably know about
So I have to.
workstations. Yeah, because people they either choose a PC, like gaming PC, or server when trying to build like a supercomputer. And I didn't want to use a gaming PC because you have a lot of GPU, but you don't have as much CPU and RAM. And on server, you can have a lot of CPU and RAM, but then you have the noise. It's was just a different. Back then, what I found it was just a different thing. And workstation is the best of both worlds. Like you can have gaming PC capability and a server capability
Yeah.
all in a single box, and that's what I'm using so far. And
A and B,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's the best. And it was like probably around 1600, so almost 2000. But I've been upgrading, adding more RAM,
Yeah.
and I've been using to this day. And yeah, it's totally worth it.
Tell your audience what's the CPU you're using?
Let me see. I've been answering this all the time.
Is
So
it the
that's
you got the
Intel.
Threadripper or do you got the are you Intel?
Yeah, that's Intel Xeon CPU E5. So this is
Okay.
old, man. This is like 11 years old now.
Yeah. Hey, those are solid chips though.
I didn't know best at the times, but 12 cores, logical processors, 24. Right now, memory 176, and I have a lot of hard disks.
Yeah, that's a lot of RAM. That's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but because to build CCIE labs, you need a lot of resources. You really need, and
Yeah.
although I couldn't run like DNAC,
Yeah.
that's the only one. But SD1 you can run.
Yeah, DNX a beast. I had to build out a whole ES6i host just for that, but it's worked out good. It has dual purpose, but I tried to create my home lab to where I could do anything.
Hmm.
So back when I was investing into like Eve and all this stuff, there was a conversation many years ago. It was like, which one's better, GNS3 or EV? EVNG. It was just EVNG. I don't think they had the community version or pro version. Like when it was just coming out, it was just called EVNG.
Hmm.
Everybody was the argument, which one's better, and I was using both, and I was like, well, I'm just going to build something that supports both environments. In fact, I'm going to have GNS3 running, and I'm going to have Eve running, and I'm going to have them communicating with each other. So I'm going to have both worlds or all worlds, and I don't even want to have the conversation which one's better because I
Hmm.
have them all, and I have them all talking to each other. That's the way my mind thinks. It's like I'm going to take a step back. You know what? I don't want to be just limited. If you're saying that GNS3 is maybe faster and for these, I want it. But you're saying Eve is better on this or here. It's like, okay, I want that too. I want it all. I'm just gonna build scenario.
And you have it running, building some crazy topologies.
Mm-hmm.
and uses that also as portfolio for your clients. So
Let me. I don't think you said I could share on this thing. Let me put it over here.
I think you can.
Let me pull up two things.
Some crazy lab.
No, but this will kind of detail the mindset. I lost the. How do I share on this thing? Here we go.
There should be something there.
Let me know when you can see this.
Yeah, coming up.
Can you see this?
Yeah,
All right. Can you see me or just the screen?
both.
Oh, okay. All right. So this was my first version of my home lab. So you got the Eve, you got your GNS3 on your workstation. I had my satellites. I was trying to create an environment where I have the best of all worlds. So I got controllers on ESXi. I've got, I love GNS3 on my desktop. I had Eve Pro on my desktop. I have two Pro versions of Eve. And then I had, this, and then I had this cluster going on. So this was, I won't go through all those details. I know we don't have that much time, but here, the idea here is between each physical box, right? A physical server, we come up with a way to, create, how do we network this together? And I had different solutions for many years, but the simplest way is just old school VLANs. So here's the different environments. This is kind of how I was doing it. Here's the specs on it. I was telling you some stuff before about there's always little gotchas. Here's some registry files that you have to do inside of Windows to get some of the NIC cards. Stop stripping 8021Q tags.
Okay.
There are some things you got to do. There's some little gotchas along the way. But yeah, and then so like I started mapping this out. Like, what does this look like? How does these massive, just my home lab? So in this scenario, I was doing a lot of Cisco SD-WAN, so the Viptela. So, and I had different flavors of it. I had it on my workstation, because I wanted to test snapshots. Does it work on the Pro version on my desktop? Because I knew they worked on the ESXi. I knew the snapshots worked, and that's why I ended up going with just leaving it on ESXi during that stretch of time, because some of the snapshots didn't work that well on the Workstation Pro. Anyway, but this is the scenario. So I would have this whole. Let's just say we're looking at this one. So I would have a whole scenario where all my controllers were on an E6i at the time, and inside I would have all these topologies running. This is how crazy I was getting. I would have an Eve Pro on my workstation running. I'd have GNS3 as a VM on my workstation running. I would have my bare metal Eve Pro running, and I would create the tunnels from the switches, and then to the switch, I'd have it mapped out, and I would have the L2 protocol tunnel TDP, right? So like I was getting to a point where I was bridging, all these different environments together, and it was all transparent. Like you're not seeing all this stuff. Like from the lab perspective, you would see the router, and then they would see each other as CDP neighbors. Does that make sense? So this is the kind of
That's layer one. Like,
yeah,
it looks like they're directly connected.
yeah. So this is just I did this because like, man, I needed a way to remember and keep track of all the different settings and stuff, because there's different layers, especially when you get into the ES6i and all that stuff. There's different little things you have to understand. But yeah, this is how I map it out. So this is my home network version. This is my version 1 home network. I started mapping out, and then I started to showcase different scenarios on the SD-WAN, what this looks like, how to do this with workstation, but then you have Eve Pro bare metal server. So what do those details look like? How did I deploy it? So and then this one was the E6i. I think I already talked about that, but that's kind of the point. And how I approached this is I wanted to build something where I could benefit from anything I wanted to do. I'll send you a copy of this too if you want it, but just wanted to kind of just share that. I'll stop sharing. I don't want to take too much time, but but you see what I'm saying? Like I want it for me. It's like I don't want to be siloed. I don't want to have work like this. I want to have free reign. I want to be able to design and do whatever I want to do. I don't like being limited. So that's kind of the approach I have. I want to make sure that I have like a true sandbox where I can build, design, test, validate anything I need to test. But a lot of the controllers I had to bring in the ES6i because a lot of the controllers you want to build those on ES6i because they have the snapshot feature. So if you've ever lost a controller or something like that, that snapped or gets locked up, especially DNAC, it'll lock up. Having that rollback, that snapshot, rollback to snapshot, is critical. You got to have it. So I mean, so you got environments where you got different environments that you want to have. You have all these virtual routers in EV and like Eve Pro, but you got your controllers on E6i, and then maybe you have some on your workstation. Maybe you have another topology running, and you want to bridge that topology. I mean, the possibilities, man, are endless, and it's so exciting because you can leverage so many different things and move traffic. And I mean, it's a lot of fun, as you can tell. I'm very passionate about it. But yeah, I hope your audience understands. Like, invest in yourself, get that hardware, get that one server, and just watch out.
Started as well.
There are some laptop. Well, I don't know, but there are some engineering laptops out there. Some of them have 64. I have seen laptops with some pretty, but they're very expensive. I mean, some of these laptops are like almost double the cost of a server that you could build or even buy secondhand. But yeah, I would not recommend anything less than 128 gigs of RAM because that was the reason why I had to move away from GNS3. I just had data centers and too many appliances and too many scenarios and topologies that I ran out of resources. So now if you're just getting started, no, you don't need all that. You don't need 128 gigs or 256 or whatever. You can start small. Maybe start with the smaller, just one server. I have a lot of servers, so start with one. But yeah, I just invest in yourself, believe in yourself. Sky's the limit, man. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. But that's kind of the mindset: is make sure you have something that gives you anything you want to do. So.
Man, before we wrap up, just two things. Your company is delivering these state-of-art lab topologies and implementing them, but you also delivering consultancy for companies. That's all, right? This is also one of the areas that you targeting or plan to target as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've had one client just come to me and just say, "Hey, can you build us a server? Can you help us just kind of get off the ground with Eve Pro? We like what you're doing. We get it. We want to invest in our own server." And that was it. That was all that contract was. Man, they just needed somebody to basically teach them, because there is. Honestly, I mean, when you first get started with Eve or Peanut Lab, there's a little bit of a learning curve. Like, you have to learn it. There's little gotchas. How do you get the image over? How do you do this? How do you do that? I know in the Eve Pro, there's a lot of options. So there's a lot of some OSs work, some don't. Some QEMU versions work with this NIC. Some don't work with that NIC. I do so much testing. I do more testing than I actually do client labs, because I have to find out what's the working combination between the QEMU version, the RAM, CPU, and the NIC in these templates. Like, you spend so much time. Sometimes you have to change the NIC or match it between two nodes just to get it to communicate, when that's not really the best preferred for that node in the default template. Sometimes you have to play around to get some of the stuff to work. Anyway, so I spent a lot of time on that. What did you ask me again? I'm so sorry. I got derailed.
About consultancy, if this is something
that
your company also provides.
Yeah, but right now it's just building labs for these clients that have a need. They have their own software, their own agent. They're trying to accomplish things and prove and develop their own agents. They just need these multi-vendor environments, like real world. Like, what
Okay.
is, what are people using now? I want to see that. Okay, thank you. Now we can run our agent. We can do our own testing. So I'll create something and I'll kind of hand it off to them. As, okay, there you go. And I just keep building these kind of scenarios. But the consulting, I mean, it's a lot of that. I really haven't got a lot of work on that yet. I've only been doing this for like 2 years full time, just nothing but Eve Pro and building these advanced apologies for customers. Uh, we're gonna see where this goes because I really think there's more here. And like I gave you an example. I think I would want to see at some point if I go to Arista, and Arista, if you're listening, here's an idea for you. If I go to one of your technical documentations and it says it's an advanced, you've got this whole diagram topology that you showcase into the audience, and here's the configs and commands. How about at the bottom of that page? Hey, here's an Eve UNL file. Has the configs. Boom, just load it up, turn it on, and now you see it. You, I think there's a net. I'm bringing that up because I think we are going to see, my personal opinion, I think Eve Pro, especially if this next update comes out, I think we're going to see, I'm not going to say an explosion. I'm just going to say there's going to be more and more use cases. And I think the benefits, I mean, let me ask you, like, wouldn't you like to see that? You go to a technical documentation page, maybe even Cisco. Well, Cisco would be CML, but you go somewhere like, hey, don't take our word for it. Here's the file, upload it into Peanut Labs or you know, Eve Pro, and you're looking at it. So what you're looking on the technical documentation, you're able to do that. So I think it's just going to continue to grow and grow, and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm passionate about it. I want to learn. I want to know. It's exciting to do something new. It's not scary anymore. When in the beginning years ago, you're like, oh my, I don't know Juniper, man. That's scary. That language, that syntax. I don't want to do that. But now I'm excited. Like, yeah, let's learn something new. It's fun to learn something new. Uh, but anyway, so
So the last one is you have over 2 decades of experience in this field. If I wanted to become the next Brandon in 1 year, what would I have to do? Like, what are the steps that you would recommend me to take? Like,
you said in 1 year?
specifically, I don't know 1 year, but let's suppose I want to become a network architect.
Yeah.
What are the steps? What is the roadmap? It all depends how long it might take, depends how much time everyone is willing to invest. But what are the things that based on the mistakes that you did that you would avoid in case you would want to become the person you are now?
That's a tough question, man. You know that, right? Because everyone's different. Everybody's skill set, everyone's work ethic. You can't teach work ethic. You can't teach passion. Like, you're either excited or you're not. The thing is, like, I don't know if I brought this up, but I took the CCI exam, routing switching, many years ago, and failed on both. So this was back in 2010, 2012. Really, but even though I still want that certification, I think it's a tremendous accomplishment. That number tied to your name, I think that's just incredible um, achievement in life. But here we go. That the thing, I I take that, even though I failed, I feel like that failure, it started something for me. And it's still there. I still got this chip on my shoulder. It's like, oh, you never finished, never got the CCIE, man. And it's kind of been like, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Can the CCI do this? And do all this other crazy stuff. You know, it's kind of been a motivating factor. But I guess what I say is, like, even in that failure, it propelled my career. I made the decision to go for the CCIE. I studied, I took the test, paid the money, got my dreams crushed, seeing the score, the failure score. But even in failure, it was me investing in myself, taken really, hey, let's go to the next level. And even though I didn't pass it, my career took off. I became a network manager. I was already a consultant. After that, went onto the global architect team at Dell. Just really doing some really amazing, awesome stuff. Very blessed. So even though I didn't make it, it really propelled me, the mindset, getting in the weeds, studying, labs. Okay, I want to be, it's a hard test to pass. It's not, that's why it's such a awesome achievement. But so I would say go for it. If you don't make it, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fail in your career or life. It doesn't define you. It doesn't. The certification is really a personal thing for yourself, in my opinion. It's sort of like, this feels good, my hard work, but it shouldn't be a validation that like, oh, I'm good because I got a CCs. That's not real life. I think your passion, the impact you make, your drive, your attitude, these things matter so much more to me than seeing that. But absolutely, I say go for it. Whatever you want to do, try to go for it, But to me, it's don't let any kind of failures. You have to fail in life in order to succeed. So don't. Some people they fail and then they quit. They're done with networking. Not done. You have to fail in life in order to be successful. So I'd say just go for it. If you want to throw the money out the window, go ahead. But if it sparks a passion for you for networking or whatever you want to get into, maybe you want to be the best hacker in the world, go for it. What are you waiting on? But I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah.
the advice is just invest in yourself, man. Whatever you like doing. If it's security, I can't stand security. I can't believe you like security, but you like security. I like service provider. I think it's fascinating. I love service provider stuff. Maybe you're a wireless guy, whatever. Just whatever speaks your like interest. Go for it. Get into it. And don't hold back. That would be my advice.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if that's good advice or not, but
Let's see. Well, it decides to apply. Thanks for taking the time and hope to have you in the second one.